What up, nerds? My name is Leslie Smith. Welcome back to the channel, where today it is time already for another weekly reading wrap-up. Just all the things that I've been reading throughout the week, the books that I finished, the ones that I'm still working on, and the ones I'm planning to stick my nose into next. Before we get into the books, I do want to announce the winner for the Out on a Limb giveaway that I did. I plugged the video into a random YouTube comment picker, and the first person it chose that actually commented that they wanted the book was Amanda from the Reading and Writing Life. So I have already contacted her. Funnily enough, she recently won one of my Patreon giveaways, so I already have her information, so I will be getting that out in the mail to you today, Amanda. Congratulations, you're going to love it. Then moving into what did I finish this week? The first thing that I finished, funny story, was not even on my TBR. I didn't even have a clue that I was going to read this when I talked to y'all last week. That is Tattered Banners by Kareem Solomon. Kareem Solomon is the author of Army of the Cursed, which I did tell you guys about last week. I loved that book. It was an SPFBO semifinalist in 2021. The book was so good, when I went to Amazon to paste a copy of my review there, I saw that the second book was already published. And I got it and started reading it immediately. I flew through it in a couple of days. It was amazing. It picked right up where the first book left off. And because all of the characters had been introduced to us in the first book, all of that was out of the way. We already knew what the plot of the story was. We were just going to see how our characters and the people of the Three Kingdoms were going to try and escape or plan or battle this army of cursed people who are carrying demons inside of them. And if you kill one of these people, it looses the demon. The demon will then reincarnate that person, and it makes them stronger because it sets the demon free. And as the demon's power grows stronger and stronger, eventually they'll be able to shed their human host and they'll exist in their true form. And it's just a race against time. There's a race to get the knowledge of how can we beat these immortal beings, and can the people of the Three Kingdoms even work together? It was phenomenal. I loved it. Cannot wait for the next book in the series. But in the meantime, I did see the author has another series that's set what I'm guessing is in this same world, because the title of that series was something about Gorania, which is the world that's in this one. So I'm just going to content myself with reading those while I wait for the next one in the War of the Last Day series. I also finished Jacob Stephen Moore's short story collection, Nightfall and Other Dangers. I knew going in that I was going to enjoy this collection. I have enjoyed every single thing that I've read by Jacob. I didn't realize I read 3 or 4 of these stories before I started the collection. Some Jacob sent me to read and review. Some were in a couple of other different collections. So I got to revisit those, and I thought, okay, these are going to be my favorites in the collection already because I knew how good they were. I was wrong. There were some that were just as good as, if not better, as far as like the horror and the creep factor. Then there were some that were just sort of speculative in nature that reminded me of something I had either experienced or thought, and it capitalized on that a little bit. So I enjoyed this collection. I think it'll be a great one for those of you that like to have some bite-sized horror to read through the fall and winter months. I'll be reminding y'all of that collection come closer to September for those of you that like to read those kind of stories around that time, which in that same vein, I started and finished Elle Stevenson's recent collection. I believe it came out in January of this year, called Candles, Bullets, and Dead Skin. Okay, so there's a couple of what I would call flash fiction in here, maybe 2 or 3. They felt like the beginning of a dream, which the way that I read and interpreted them felt like the beginning of a nightmare, and they felt so familiar, like the beginnings of dreams that I had, that it kind of got a little bit under my skin, because I'm thinking, wow, this is a strong sense of deja vu. And did it open the gates for other dreams? Yes, they did. The short stories were just absolutely exquisitely written, which is what I come to expect from author Elle Stevenson. I would have to say that the standout story for me, which I really want to say it's the serial killer one, but I won't. The one that stands out the most to me, that just had the biggest impact, was called Itch. It's a horror story. Maybe you or someone in your family gets diagnosed with maybe a disease or a skin condition, one that people just maybe don't have a good understanding of. And if you're someone who's young and you're either seeing that happen to yourself or to someone in your family, just the fear and the what if this and what if that, and just how rationalization just goes out the window. Your thoughts become very irrational. They just fester, and because you don't have any information or not enough knowledge about it, just what that does to your mind, because those irrational thoughts just build upon each other. The fear just mounts and mounts and mounts, and what that can do to someone's mind and how it could manifest in their life. It was just absolutely nothing short of spectacular. You guys know, I just cannot get enough of Elle Stevenson, the creative mind who gave birth to the Boatmore Butcher. So if you've read The Goners, this is that very same author. So I'm looking forward to reading more by them in the future. And my last completed read of the week, I finished late last night, and that was Michael Clarke's Hell on High. I had very high expectations for this one. Michael Clarke is the author that you guys hear me talk about all the time. This is the author of my favorite haunted house story ever, the Patience of a Dead Man trilogy. I was so excited to finally sit down to read this one. There was some issue with someone pirated the book, and so when the publisher put it up on Amazon, there was this whole snafu. They finally got it straightened out. I got my copy. I read it in 2 days. I knew going in this was not a haunted house story. This was something completely different. I thought we were going to have more of a spotlight of the Brazilian practice of macumba. It's mentioned, there's a few things talked about. There's a family that practices, but we don't get any of the nitty gritty. We don't learn what it is they're doing and why they're doing it. So I was a little bit disappointed there. And there was also, for fans of Patience of a Dead Man, there was a tie-in. And when I first encountered it, I thought, uh-oh, did he just do the same thing in this one that he did in his other one? But it tied into the Patience of a Dead Man trilogy, which you would think I would have loved, but I didn't. You know, and just to keep piling on this poor book, it had super short chapters. I like short chapters, but a lot of these chapters, it was in the same point of view, and it was just maybe some time had passed. That could have been just kind of separated, you know, how sometimes they'll just put a little line or 3 dots to show that some hours have passed. Because they were so broken out, it distracted me a lot. But it just didn't give me what I wanted, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be every bit of what you wanted. So if you're looking for a bit of adventure horror, I would absolutely encourage you to check this one out. And those of you who are fans of The Patience of a Dead Man, you might actually love this tie-in to those 3 novels, because it does mean that door is back open. So there could be a future there for other stories along that line. I am not opposed to that. So that does it for all of the books that I finished. What am I currently working on? I'm still working my way through The Dragon Reborn, but that journey should end today. I have about 50 pages left. I will absolutely get those knocked out as soon as we get done filming here today. This one's good. It's not one of my favorites, but it's still been a lot of good information. All of the times that I've reread this series, I forget when things happen. So every time something's popped up in this one, I was like, oh man, I didn't realize that happened so early in the series. So there's still a lot of fun surprises, even though I've read it several times, but there's also things about it that still get on my nerves. I guess I never read the series kind of back to back like I'm doing now. I would space them out over time. But I'm reading this along with the Literary Apothecary. She's doing a read-along where we read 1 book per month. And because I'm taking them slowly, I feel like I'm kind of reading them back to back. So all of the things that Robert Jordan repeats over and over have really started grating on my nerves. He repeats so many things, which I get it. When the books were coming out, there would be a year or more between the books, and it was a great way to recap, but my gosh, when you read them back to back, it is highly annoying. So I don't know that I would actually recommend doing that to anybody. I would say maybe space them out like 2 or 3 months in between. Yeah, that's just my 2 cents. I think you would enjoy them a little better doing it that way. As soon as I finished Hell on High, I started Queen of Last Hope by Joseph Sell. This is the 4th book in the Book of Thrice Dead series. I only got the first chapter read, and I was so relieved with the character that is in that chapter. And I can't tell you why, because it is a huge spoiler. But thank you, Joe. I'm sure you know who the character is I'm talking about, but I'm so glad you gave me that character to start this one off. I cannot wait to see what's going to happen, because this book starts off and we are in hell. Like, literally hell. So as far as to where this book is gonna go, I don't know, but I will be telling you all about it next week, because I imagine I'm gonna fly through that one. When I finish that one, I still have Orion Citadel by Wilbur Seymour. This is the 2nd book in the Kuiper series. This is a series I started this year. I'm excited to keep going with that one. And I'm still waiting on Grady Hendrix' How to Sell a Haunted House from my library. That is my patron pick for the month of March. I put a hold on the physical book, the audiobook, and the ebook. So I'm slowly working my way through the queue. Whichever one of those I get my hand on first, I'm gonna read. And most likely when I finish The Dragon Reborn today, I'm gonna kick off the audiobook for Jim Butcher's Grave Peril. That is the 3rd book in the Dresden Files series. Any time spent with Harry Dresden is a good time. So those are all of the things that I read over the week, what I've started, what I'm planning to read next. So I hope you're looking forward to hearing all about those new reads next week. Thank you all so much for watching and being here today. It means the world. Have a fantastic rest of your day, a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you on Monday.